Duchess of Sussex, Harry, Meghan, Archie, Baby Lily, Muhammad Warrior, Poola Guy, the chickens, all of us here at Sussex Squad. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day wherever you are. Yes. So I just thought I'd do this recording, just, focused on the crown for a bit. The crowd that I think my whole body has been running away from, and but I did promise I will watch it and finish it, and talk about it and share what I thought about it. And Lord, this show is giving me, you remember Meghan saying that the B word gives her hives? I think I'm having the same issue with this show. It is just like, what on earth? I don't know. I'm telling you, with this crown, I am of the opinion that Peter Morgan, who is the showrunner of this show, or the writer, of this show, is vying for a knighthood. That's the only thing I could possibly think of for why Peter Morgan has completely sanitized this, especially Prince Charles's character. And I mean, it's bad enough that he chose this actor that is this, very handsome man, doesn't in any way, shape, or form look like Prince Charles in any shape other than the accent. That's the only thing they have in common, it seems. And completely sanitized Prince Charles's character. It's just like, okay, he has got to be vying for a knighthood, because that's the only thing I could think of why you would do this. And then it's the only thing, and also I'm thinking too, is like, my goodness, a lot of people were alive when this stuff happened. So it's such an insult to not only the memory of Princess Diana, but to all the people who was alive when all of this stuff was happening and saw the drama in real life, and I am hoping that they're not watching this, because it's like, I am never, ever going to be tuning into this series ever again. I heard that there's another series, series 6 happening. You'll miss me on that one. I am barely making it through this. And before the last season, I have not watched the previous season before last season. I have not watched any of it. I've only ever seen last season, and up to episode 7. I'm barely making it through episode 7 of this one. It is just ridiculous, utterly ridiculous, this episode. I mean, this series. I can't, and it's so funny, and I haven't listened to the episode, but I remember Duchess of Success. One of the title of her episodes was that the crown is a switch bait. It's a bait and switch. And I'm like, totally, this is totally it. This is totally what Peter Morgan and his ilks at the crown did. It was a total bait and switch. This whole fake outrage from the British press, it was all there to bait. They knew what this was about. I knew exactly it, because I said it before, and I remember tweeting about it, and I deleted the tweet, and I thought I saved a copy of it, but I don't know. I should have kept that tweet, because I totally guessed this is what they were going to do. this is exactly what they were going to do. It's a bait and switch. Prince Charles, when and I've talked about this before, there was an article where the actor that played, I think his name is Lane something, that played Prince Charles, and not Lane, whatever his name is, I don't care. I think I'm just trying to get away from this thing. But anyway, he said that the actor that played Prince Charles said that he is a part of or an ambassador for a couple of Prince Charles's charities, and he offered to resign from those charities, and Prince Charles was like, no, you're an actor, it's fine, whatever, you don't need to resign. From the moment I heard that, I knew that Prince Charles knew what this what the narrative of this series was going to be. He knew he was going to look good, because there was no way Prince Charles, as petty as he is and knowing his character, would be okay with someone trashing him, or really not even trashing him, but really portraying the truth about who he really is and keep them on his board. Prince Charles is not like that. Prince Charles is a yes man. He only hire yes people who are there to build him up and make him look good. That's the only people he would really associate with. He is not a person who would be around someone who completely speaks the truth about him. And so the moment I saw that and I read that, I was like, yep, he knows exactly what this is. And he knows, this is, and then again, Robert Lacey being the historian, when I saw that and was reminded that Robert Lacey was the historian on this show, I'm like, there is no way this is going to tell the truth, especially about racism, especially about what he did to Princess Diana. This is the man that allowed Prince William, this so-called historian, Robert Lacey, is the one that allowed Prince William to use him to smear Meghan and all those lying, bullying claims. I'm telling you, I have having such a hard time believing anything coming from anyone that calls themselves historian, biographer, commentator, whatever, from the UK. These people just lie. They just lie. And they twist stories just, it's kind of like wherever the moon is, the story will match that. It's really, really sick how these people work. And, to see them erase people or, erase complete history and rewrite it to suit, especially to make the royal family look good. And it is just really, really sick. It's just like, this thing has got me so incensed. I was like, I can never watch this again. Ever. And again, the only thing, this man totally sold out his creativity, sold out his everything, any kind of credibility at all, I would think, I would only assume this man is getting a knighthood or something at the end of this, because why would you completely trash your series? And again, before last series, I guess series 4, I had not watched it before, so I don't know, I can't speak to those things. But what, and again, compare, even like looking at the girl, Elizabeth Debrecki, who plays Princess Diana, it's just so disappointing because, I watched last season with Emma Corrin and even Kristen Stewart in the movie. She is actually nominated for an Academy Award. And I really like their performance because it wasn't a caricature of Princess Diana. They really got into the emotion and where she was and tried to understand her. And what I've seen so far of Elizabeth Debrecki is she's like a caricature of Princess Diana. She got this under-eyed thing that she's doing. And I was like, I've seen videos of Princess Diana. That's not all she is. There are times she is like that, but she is not all like this under-eyed thing that she does and just this caricature. And it just makes Diana looks, I don't know. I can't relate to what she's doing because I feel like she hasn't taken the time to connect emotionally with the character. So all she's relying on is this caricature of what she's created. And so therefore I cannot I mean, I really have not been able to connect with any of the characters here at all, in any sense of the word, but so much so. And I think I'm disappointed because I was able to connect with Emma Corrin's performance and connect with Kristen Stewart's. Amazingly enough, Kristen Stewart, and this portrayal of a Diana is just so not. There is no heart to it at all, and so I've been very, very disappointed with most of the things in The Crown, particularly their lies by omission. And again, The Crown is not a documentary. It's not. It's taking from, again, taking from real life events and creating drama around it. But there are just certain things, if you're going to do that, and even if you're doing that, there's just certain things you just can't leave out to make it credible at all in any sense of the word. So that disclaimer that Dame Judi Dench was, bawling about, that really should be there, because I'm like, I agree with Dame Judy, because it is pure fiction. It is absolutely pure fiction, because so much, again, of it was sanitized that I'm just like, what on earth? And so one of the things that we'll get back to Prince Charles in a second, but one of the things that was very prevalent in episode 5 was Windsor Castle being burned and all of that stuff. And it was very interesting for me for that episode, because a lot of different things. This was the famous Queen's speech, that Annus Horribilis, her worst year as a monarch, and she did this speech at about it being just her worst years, the worst year of her reign. It's all about her. And the thing about this whole episode is, Charles is coming to her about his divorce, and Andrew about his divorce, and Anne about her divorce and falling in love with Tim. Actually, he's still her husband, so they have at least lasted for how many years they've been married, and all and then Buckingham Palace burning. So it was her Annus Horribilis, and I'm thinking, okay, you could say Buckingham Palace, but the rest of it is, I could literally say, okay, it was Andrew's, probably his worst year, because he's the one going through the divorce, Anne is the one, changing husbands, and Charles is, yabbering about his relationship with Diana, which mostly he caused, so I can't even say it was his heart. I mean, this is self-inflicted wound, but the whole thing was all about her, and then there's Margaret, who is, has a legitimate gripe against her because she stopped her sister from marrying the love of her life, and then he went off and married someone else. And, and this whole episode, it's so funny because there were clips and clips of Margaret, on a side note, the clips and clips of Margaret, with her love, and even when she was younger. And for the whole time, I'm thinking, why didn't they have this episode be about Margaret? The actress who played Margaret was so fantastic. And the young versions of her, and her, the little clips of her, meeting up with her young love and all of that stuff. And, them, meeting up again because now he's dying. And I feel like that whole episode should have been about Margaret, honestly, because the Queen, the character of the Queen, is so boring and so uninteresting that I was just like, this is dumb. I saw that episode and parts of that episode. I swear, I was telling you guys, like 3 times watching it over the past weekend and just couldn't do it. And then tried it again, fell asleep, had to rewind because I kept missing a lot of stuff because I kept dozing off. And I realized, I think the thing is, like, the premise of it was just so dull. And I was like, and I finally caught clips and I was like, oh my gosh, I slept through all these clips of Margaret. And I was thinking, they should have let this whole thing be about Margaret. This whole episode be about, what Margaret went through and her love and being denied, being married to her love, because that was the most interesting thing for me in this whole episode. And I think the actress who played her so far overshadowed the actress who played the Queen. It was just like, Lord, at least she was interesting. And so this whole thing about the queen, it's her, and it just became all about her. And it just for me showed just the selfishness about of the queen. And again, when your whole life is about you and everybody caters to you and it's all about you because you're the queen, it's hard to not be a selfish person and it all becomes about you. And it's so funny because even this Windsor Castle burning. And yeah, of course, it's dramatic. Nobody wants to see their house burn or their castle burn. Again, this is a 1,000-room castle. So if you notice the bottom right picture, there's only that one section, and there's all that others in the back there of this picture. Again, Windsor Castle is one of the largest castles in the world, and it's over 1,000 rooms. And so this wing of the castle got burned. And it's very interesting because she was talking about, it's all about her and it's her castle. Yeah, but there are other people who were affected as well, like i.e. the workers. And it's so funny because I was reading this book, And What Do You Do? And I read that book again with a grain of salt because there are things about Prince Harry and Meghan in there that is like, dude, you did not do your research. You just got this from the tabloids, And so one of the things it talked about was how the queen, her worst year, how the queen treated her staff, the very staff who were running into the flames, trying to rescue her prized possessions and all her prized paintings and furnitures and all the things that they were able to rescue. And, what it was for them when they did it. And then I remember reading it, and it talks about, talk about selfishness, just selfishness in so many ways, and how stingy she was, and how it's all, everything is about her and taking care of her needs, but not her staff. And I was reading this, and it brought out just the stinginess of, and how, she really thinks and how she really is, and everything is about her. And so this section of the book talked about just how cheap they are and how they are with the staff, the same staff that they claim that they love, and this staff that is like family to them, the staff that were running into Buckingham Palace. No, I'm sorry, not Buckingham Palace. Did I say Buckingham Palace? I meant Windsor Castle. If I said Buckingham Palace through this whole thing, I meant Windsor Castle being burned. Oh, goodness. I hope I didn't just say that and I have to delete it. But Windsor Castle is what I meant. And so this talks about just their stinginess in how they treat their staff. So this part, it says, Albert's pleading of poverty was not unique as it is in fact regular royal tactic. Nicholas Haslam, the interior designer, scribed by Kitty Kelly in her book as a friend of the royal family, said, the royals love to play being poor. They turn each other on with their stinginess. Sometimes it is the royal employees who suffer. Certainly from 2010 onwards, the general dog's bodies had to endure wage freeze for several years while the income of the queen increased inexorably. In other ways, the stinginess became unedifying. In other ways, the stinginess becomes unedifying. At Christmas, some staff at Buckingham Palace are rewarded for their loyalty with gifts like jam from the palace shops. Recipients are advised to check the sell-by date. The queen gets a discount on items that are not selling well or are close to the end of their shelf life. On the occasion of the fire at Windsor Castle, the staff who battled hard for hours to save valuable artworks and artifacts were offered, by way of thanks, a free tour. Most declined this quote-unquote generous offer. And so for me, when I read that, again, talk about stinginess, and it's all about her and feeding herself and lining her pocket. Again, you look back at the picture of there were pictures of, the staff saving her prized possession at at Windsor Castle, and all they got as a thank you was a tour. I guess a tour of the rest of the castle, the part of the castle they were not, probably not allowed in. They got a tour. That's their whole payment, And so for me, when she's like, oh, it's her, Anna, so I'm like, you still had your husband, you still had, most of Windsor Castle, you have Buckingham Palace and all the other stuff you have. You're not getting divorced. Your kids are. It's not your Anna Horribilis. Well, maybe, she said the worst year for rain, but the way how it was portrayed is like, oh my gosh, this is just the worst thing in the world. And it's just like, lady, you're just selfish. All it is just all about you, and it's funny that there was kind of a scene in there with Margaret just basically telling her off, so, but it's very, for me, it was just like, moving on. Anyways, also, one of the other things about The Crown, which really, really, again, which is why I say Peter Morgan is, vying for a knighthood. If he doesn't already have one of those knighthoods or OBE, MBE, whatever, this is, God, for me, this has got to have been the payoff or something, or somebody promised him a knighthood or something for him to do. I mean, this is negligible stuff, Any two-bit writer wouldn't ignore stuff that is so glaring. And one of the things that especially with the relationship with Charles and Camilla, is his completely leaving out just the gaslighting of Princess Diana, the complete attacks on Princess Diana from Charles and his people. They completely left that out. Like, completely. I mean, how do you do that? They completely, it's amazing how they not only left it out, even the whole tampon gate thing. It was done in such a boring way that it's like, it was nothing. If you didn't know what a hub, if you didn't know the furor all that stuff caused, if you didn't know because all up to say tampon gate and all of that stuff, they have been gaslighting Princess Diana. Charles and his people have been using the press to attack Princess Diana's mental health, that she's crazy, she's loony, she's, it's all in her head, that him and Camilla are just friends. I mean, we talked about this, and we'll get to that in a second. All of this stuff that was going on, it was in the UK press daily. And for Peter Morgan to leave all that stuff out and just barely mentioned, that Charles, there was nothing about the press other than they mentioned, like, oh, there's some people that understand and there's some people that don't understand what happened. And to completely play it in such a way, like, if you didn't know any of this stuff, or at least research, you would never, ever understand from how Peter Morgan laid this out, just the hurt, the humiliation, for Princess Diana, the horror. I mean, and then also the abuse that she took from press and public at that time. And then even talk about Prince Charles, just the oh my goodness, just the humiliation that he went through as well, because it was all over the world about this. And so for him to just completely just tap down to almost non-existent about this, and instead, a couple of scenes later, he is at his Princess Trust thing, giving this so-called inspiring speech using Black and brown people. And again, this is the thing about the royal family and how they've used them. Peter Morgan literally tapped into this, how they use Black and brown people as props in this, what is it, episode 5, I guess it was. For him being at his Princess Trust doing this inspirational speech, and even at the end of the episode using Black music, using hip hop, and Prince Charles dancing with a bunch of Black people to sanitize his character. And it was just the most sickening thing that I've seen. Again, how the UK people use Black people to make the royal family look good and make them not look cruel and not make them look racist. It's the same pattern that Peter Morgan used. I mean, to go from Tampon Gate and what he did to Princess Diana. And again, I repeat, the hate that Prince Charles and his people laid out, using the press, using biographers and all of that to go after Princess Diana, and for Peter Morgan to neglect all of that and sanitize it and made Prince Charles look like the victim. It is, and then blame it. Oh, it's because, Princess Diana, her book and all of that stuff. And then even have this narrative that Charles, it's that Princess Diana's trying to take down the monarchy, and it's her revenge trying to take down the monarchy. Why this is all, I mean, it's just like, are you serious? And so it just, for me, it's like lying by omission. It's unreal for me. I never thought I would ever see someone completely sanitize Prince Charles's his character. And that is what they did. And again, even the so-called phone call with Camilla played as just, oh, it's just lovers being lovers. These poor lovers who were, denied being with each other, and they just want to be together, and that's all they have. And how dare the media, expose them, and how dare, because, and it was just like, are you serious? Are you serious? And so it just, oh my gosh, I was just like, Lord. And, one of the things too is just, and I think that the coming episodes, it's, it's going to be about Charles' book about Jonathan Dimbleby. And that too, I expect, to be completely sanitized, because that was one of the ways Charles used, that was one of the people Charles used to demonize Princess Diana. And it's so funny because hearing a few episodes back, I talked about this documentary that Patrick Jephson, who was Jephson, he was a private secretary for Princess Diana. He talks about meeting Jonathan Dimbleby and arranging a lunch with Jonathan Dimbleby and Princess Diana. And he talks about the book that Dimbleby was writing for Prince Charles. And the reason he set up that lunch with Prince Charles is because he knew that Prince Charles, Prince Charles was cooperating and really, writing this book with Dimbleby. And he knew that they were going to attack Princess Diana really horribly. And so he set it up so Dimbleby would meet Princess Diana and form his own views. And at the end of that, he talked to Dimbleby, and Dimbleby was like, well, he had already gotten all this nasty stuff about Princess Diana. And his thing was, well, if I can't believe what I heard about her, then I can't believe anything. So basically, he can't believe his own eyes, because Diana was not insane or any of the things Prince Charles's people told him about Diana. But when Patrick Jephson was telling this, he said that one of the reasons that Andrew Morton started doing the book of Princess Diana is because he heard that Prince Charles was already working on this book. And so he felt that, no, somebody has to be there to defend Princess Diana. So even in this series, it's the other way around. Like, they only are doing this, Charles is doing this because Diana did the book with Andrew Morton, which is not what Patrick Jephson had said. And it just also, even how they just completely downplayed, sanitized what happened even when Andrew Morton's book came out. The furor and all of that stuff is completely missing from The Crown. When Diana told her story, people attacked her. Obviously people were saying, oh no, she definitely, cooperated with the book. It didn't go well. It didn't go down well, and of course, people, the palace, obviously, they were in a furor and all of that stuff. The tabloids were in all of those things that were, were going on at the time, completely not there. Again, if you didn't know the history, if you didn't know what was happening, and you're just going by what The Crown is saying, and again, it's not a documentary, but for me, it's so negligible. as a writer who is writing on these historical things that happened, where a lot of people now were alive when this happened, it's really negligible to not put that in there, you know? And also the desperation of why she had to get her story out. Again, the reason why Princess Diana had to speak is because of what Prince Charles was doing. Him and his ilks in his in his household was doing to her, how they were demonizing her. At the time, I mean, we talked a few episodes back. Here's the documentary that I was talking about. Patrick Jephson did this documentary, and at the time, Prince Charles again was using Jonathan Dimbleby. This is Dickie Arbiter, his press secretary at the time as well. They were all part of hiding Prince Charles and him using his ilk, his people, his yes men to go after Princess Diana. And then it's always his friends and his courtiers, and Prince Charles would never say those things, the things that they said himself, so that he could claim, that, oh no, I had nothing to do with it. It's a plausible deniability. I had nothing to say. I would never have someone, say horrible things about my wife. Yet he had his people do it. His friends and his courtiers do it. This is what they were doing at the time. Again, we talked about how Prince Charles used Penny Jr., that's Mark Bolan at the bottom, to spread the word. And to this day, people have this the narrative that that Princess Diana was crazy. She was mentally ill. She was mentally unstable. All of these things. Penny Jr. even had that she had what is it? A personality disorder. All of this stuff. None of that stuff diagnosed. She had no medical diagnosis that Princess Diana had, was mentally ill, or she had like this personality disorder and all of that stuff. But Penny Jr. still wrote that in her book. And all that stuff she got from Charles's people. None of that is in The Crown. I mean, all of this stuff was going on. And Princess Diana had no power. She had no way of clearing her name. The only way she knew how was to use what she had and what she could. And journalists who were sympathetic to her, or who would, as she even in The Crown said that Andrew Morton would say nice things about her. She would go to people who she thought were sympathetic to her, who would listen to what she had to say. And so that's why she agreed to do this book with Andrew Morton, to clear her name. It wasn't because she was just trying to smear Charles. It was because they were trying to destroy her character. Why? Because she was better than Charles. She was better than him in everything that she did. And she was, they were getting a divorce. Their marriage was horrible. He wanted to be with Camilla, and she would not stay quiet. She was talking about it. She was complaining about what he was doing, and he wanted to cheat and gaslight her in peace. So he used his friends to destroy her name and her character, and she had no other choice but to speak up. And so all of this stuff is missing from The Crown. All of this backstory is missing from The Crown in an attempt to sanitize Prince Charles's character, and it's just sickening. It is so sickening. And yeah, he, the palace youth, Richard Kay, Robert Job. So we talked about this in that episode, about all the things. And, even Richard Kay and Robert Jobson, they were like, yeah, they knew that, one, that they were trying to destroy Princess Diana's character in a lot of ways. That's why they were briefing against her. They knew that, that Princess Diana, and the reason why they were doing it is because Princess Diana was so good at what she was doing. She was so good at her job. She was so good, and that outshone the royal family and Prince Charles. And even Robert Jobson, he was saying that, they leaked to him that, as you can see at the bottom there, like, Princess Diana is a thorn in the Queen's side. All of that, they knew it was because, Princess Diana was, her popularity was skyrocketed. She was, she's everything Meghan is today and more, and that is why, leaking about her grooming bill, anything to take out her character, anything to destroy her character. And that's why she spoke up. That's why she went to Andrew Morton. That's why she did Martin Bashir. And they even now, it's like, oh, Martin Bashir. Yes, I'm not defending what Martin Bashir did to get that interview. But again, what Princess Diana said, and even if there was, things that caused her to be paranoid, as Prince William's like, oh, she was paranoid, whatever. What she said was true. And even if she had every reason to be. Again, there were bugging her phone. They did bug her phone. They did it, they did Prince Charles. I mean, people could be saying, oh, it's just those ham radios and all of those things. No. They were listening in on her. They were gaslighting her. They were not supporting. So if any reasonable person in the situation Princess Diana was, again, would be paranoid about stuff. If someone is bugging my phone today, of course I will be paranoid about stuff. I'd be like, oh my goodness, checking everything. I mean, they were literally trying to drive this woman crazy. They were trying to give her mental issues. They were doing everything to cause her to be mentally unstable. They were doing this to her. And then when she reacted, they labeled her mentally unstable. They labeled her as, having a personality disorder. They labeled her as being crazy, while they were the ones doing things to make her that way. And it's just like, it's unreal and sick. And this is the thing, all of this stuff is missing. It is just like, I was so disgusted when I saw what they did to that Prince Charles episode, and then use black and brown people in the end of that episode, ending it with Prince Charles dancing with a bunch of, and using hip hop music. I was just like, are you serious? Are you serious? Unbelievable. And, it's so funny, the last couple of days, and I'm going to use their own tabloids to make this point, because in the last couple of days, Patrick Jephson, the same one who did that documentary, he wrote an article, and he actually, he spoke out in an episode of a podcast, where he talked again about the same thing, about Prince Charles, how he made, him and his staff, and used his staff to try to destroy Princess Diana. And in Page 6, picked up on the podcast, and Page 6, again, is a U.S. tabloid, which I never use, but I'm using their tabloids specifically for this, because they're the ones that picked it up, and Patrick Jephson did say it. And also it's also in the Daily Mail. Again, these two, one Rupert Murdoch paper and one, Lord Rothermere paper. These papers, who are very, very pro-royal and pro-monarchy, they're the ones, and the same ones who's been screaming that the crown is the crown is fiction, whatever. Again, bait and switch. They're the ones who reported on what Patrick Jephson just said again in this podcast. Page 6, it details how Prince Charles' staff made Diana hell with lies about her mental health. And this little clip from Page 6, it says, Princess Diana's former chief of staff has blasted Prince Charles' former courtiers for spreading lies that she was mentally ill. Patrick Jephson, who worked closely alongside Diana for 8 years, alleges that Charles's staff smeared his first wife in a systematic campaign, while it was an open secret within the establishment that he was having an affair with his longtime mistress, Camilla Parker Bowles. Jephson said, this is not just some casual gossip. It was a systematic campaign. Okay, it was a long time ago, but the man they're supporting now, our king, and these things are not our king, and these things should not be buried. They should not be conveniently pushed aside. And that is exactly what the Crown has done. They have completely pushed it aside. And Daily Mail also picked up on it. It says Charles' staff conducted smear campaign against Princess Diana's mental health. His former private secretary claims, as the royal author admits, It was the nastiest bit of War of the Whales. Princess Diana, and it goes on to talk about stuff. But the thing again about this is, notice where he says Prince Charles's staff, his Prince Charles's courtiers, his aides, never Prince Charles. Why? Because Prince Charles always uses his aides. He always uses his friends and his staff to do his dirty work. He's done it with so many things. Every single thing that is negative about Prince Charles, you will never see Prince Charles doing it. His whole life has been about using other people to do his dirty work. And again, it's the same thing here. Prince Charles's staff, led by Mark Bolan and Michael Fawcett and his ilks, doing the dirty work for Prince Charles again. So Prince Charles could always claim plausible deniability. He can always claim like, oh, no, I would never have anyone say nasty things about my wife, or former wife, and if they did, they would be fired or cast out. And I remember in Patrick Jephson's documentary, he specifically pointed out, questioned Richard Kay about that specific thing when he said, yes, we heard that Prince Charles, he would never, ever, ever allow his staff or his friends to say, negative things or horrible things against his former wife. But has anyone of his friends who has actually done and said things, because we know they're all over, has any one of them lost their friendship with Prince Charles because they went and said nasty things and said lies and tried to smear Princess Diana? And Richard Kay had to admit no. And Patrick Jephson asked him again, has any of the staff lost their job because they have lied about Princess Diana's mental health and smeared her with Penny Jr. and say Patrick Jonathan Dimbleby and others? Have any of them lost their job because they've done it? And Richard Kay had to admit none of them has. So this whole notion that Prince Charles would, is against anyone who spread lies about his wife is completely lies. Is completely lies. Prince Charles, he knew it. He allowed it, his staff to do it. And the crown has completely whitewashed and completely sanitized this whole thing. None of that is in there. And it's just so sick. And again, a lot of people taking the crown as, as a documentary. And again, Judi Dench was right. It is pure fiction. It is lying by omission. And I can only think Peter Morgan expects to get like a knighthood or something. Don't be surprised if you see Peter Morgan end up with a knighthood or something in that vein because of this. It's unbelievable that they did that. But anyway, moving on from there, the only thing that I think that I've seen in this whole episodes that I've seen so far is the relationship between the Queen and also Prince Philip and Penny. And maybe because they're dead, so they don't have to, completely sanitize it. The only thing that I see where they were correcting it, and we as a squad have, we've been talking about this forever, about the lies that were told about, the Queen and Prince Philip's this 70-year love affair between them, which is, we all know, it's total lies. I mean, seriously, anybody looking at Prince Philip and the Queen's relationship in however long would tell you that's lies. Prince Philip moved. He resigned and moved. And the Queen would see him every now and then. And, even when he was sick in the hospital, she'd even go visit him. It was only because of COVID that he moved back to Windsor Castle, I guess, to, for care and all of that stuff. But it was him and Penny all the time. I remember the day that Prince Harry was doing the Sandringham summit that, when he was negotiating him and Meghan's way out of the royal family. Prince Philip left. He left and he was seen driving away with Penny. It was him and Penny. He couldn't even care less to sit there and be a part of that, And so I feel like this is the only part that I saw that they at least didn't try to sanitize. And I mean, it was very, very, very clear, just how much and how much they grew apart. And I feel like episode 6 has been, at least the strongest so far. And it, strongest because of their relations with the Russian royals who were murdered. And but it also, this episode was also very interesting in how Philip even saw the queen. There were parts of it where he basically treated her like she wasn't all that intelligent, and Penny was the intelligent one. I mean, Penny looks like she had the run of Windsor Castle's library. It was like, okay, and there was the scene where he was basically, Prince Philip asked her to have companions, as he called them. And even when the queen was like, what if I, say no, or what if I, don't want that? And he was like, well, that would not be a good thing for you. It was like basically threatening to leave her or something like that, or at least that's how it seemed to me. But it was very interesting how what he valued and how he valued. I mean, there was this even scene where how much they weren't together, where she didn't even know he planned this 3-week trip to go away, and he was packing or whatever he's doing, and she walked in. She's like, where are you going? He's like, oh yeah, I'm going away for 3 weeks. And she had no idea. And he was just like, okay. And so it was very, very, very interesting. And also, we've also always questioned those photos of the queen with Penny, whether either racing or whatever. And it was very interesting that they put in an episode there where where Philip is basically forcing the queen to legitimize his relationship with Penny. And not only that, but to be seen with Penny, so it doesn't, he doesn't get backlash for his relationship with Penny. And it was just very, very interesting that they left that in there. Again, the queen and Philip are dead, so they don't have to sanitize that. They're not gonna know. But at least I, give him a little props that he didn't try to sanitize or make it look like the queen and Philip had any kind of romantic relationship, because anybody and their brother who had any common sense could see that they just were basically existing together. But it was very interesting to me that even as queen, that the men didn't quite look at her as, with the respect that one would think that she would have. I mean, even the audacity to ask your wife to be seen with your mistress, so that way you don't have to, or alleged mistress, that you don't look bad or get blowback because of that's what you're doing. It's the audacity, and seeing the queen had to do it. And it was very, I'm telling you, the Windsors, man, it's very, very interesting to me. But at least I give Morgan props that he didn't try to sanitize this part of it. And so, and again, when Philip died, we saw the Daily Mail basically blackmailing the queen to make sure that Penny was at that funeral. It was very interesting. It was like, she there, or we will out you, that that was Prince Philip's, girlfriend or lover or whatever. It was just so blatant that they were doing that. It was just like, whoa, they're really threatening Queen Betty. I mean, one, she is mourning her husband. They're threatening her, but it was very clear. And so, again, I've always, especially American media, with this nonsense about this love affair of 70 years. And it was just like, that's ridiculous. Nobody would look at Prince Philip and the queen and say they had any sorts of, they respect each other and had kids together, but that was about it. There was no love affair. And I'm sure that, there was a love there in the sense that they were married forever and they couldn't divorce. And that was the thing. Prince Philip was out of this marriage forever ago. He just couldn't divorce her because obviously the queen is the head of the church and the church frowned on divorce. And so he couldn't divorce. But emotionally, mentally, all of those things, he was completely divorced from her. They were married in name only, and that was very clear. So at least I give Morgan this. He didn't try to sanitize what was going on with the queen and Philip and Penny. And so, but that's That's it for me on this one. I am struggling through this. It's insulting. It is really very very insulting, especially what they did with Prince Charles. And it's just, are you serious? So anyway, I am going to struggle through the rest of it, and then I'll do another episode of this. And I will not be back for season 6. This is nonsense. This is absolute nonsense. I will definitely not be back for season 6. But anyways, that's it on this episode. And I will post this later today. Thank you for our awesome moderators, who some of whom might be on the in the chat moderating. I appreciate you so much. Again, I always say that, but I really mean it from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate you for what you do in moderating our space so that we keep it nice and safe and fun. Thank you to our 2 Cents crew. I'm going to put my banner back up here so that way, yep, there we go. So that you can subscribe to our channel. But anyways, I'll talk about that in a second. Thank you to our 2 Cents crew who support our channel on a monthly basis. And thank you so much for your support. I am just so grateful again for your support. Our other 2 Cents crew members here, the one page was too little. We couldn't fit everybody on one page. So thank you guys so much for your support. Thank you to our Gold Star supporters who support us via super chats, super thanks, super stickers, Cash App, PayPal, merchandise. Any way you support us, thank you so much for all the support that you've given to our channel. I really, really, really appreciate it. And if you are on here and you're new here and have not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe and click the notification bell so that you know when we drop a video. And please like and share this video as we grow our channel. And again, please join. You can join and be a member of our 2 Cents crew. So thank you guys so much. I love you all. I will see you the next time. Hopefully next time we'll do a live, and we shall chat about it. Actually, definitely leave me a comment and let me know what your thoughts are on are you struggling through are you struggling through the crown of fire? Struggle, but hey, we're all about facts, and I think that's why it's been a struggle. So I love you guys, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.